In the previous video, we discussed brainstorming practices to give you that initial idea of what to write about. Today, we're going to talk about how to take that initial spark and give it the makings of a real story. Let me take an example from my own writing to show you how you can bring together the disparate elements of a story. I've been reading about hedonic adaptation, so the idea that you long for something for a time and then once you get it, you enjoy it for a while, but ultimately you get used to it. So I had that idea in my mind and I was on my lunch break walking down Regent Street. It was early summer, it's hot and crowded, there were people everywhere, and I remember looking at some of the balconies on top of the buildings, these big wide balconies where you could see the whole of London. I imagined a breeze up there, and that became what I was longing for. Coming back to the idea of hedonic adaptation, I thought, what about we having some characters up on those balconies that maybe got used to that kind of lifestyle by now? There may be other things that they're thinking about that they don't have, that they are longing for. You'll see now how we've taken a couple of sparks and turned them into two fundamental elements of a story: the setting and potential characters. From this, we can draw two lessons. The first is to identify your gateway. You want to start by thinking about all the different elements of a story and pick one for brainstorming. Those elements would be theme, the overriding message. It could be the plot, the action that takes place during the story. It might be the conflict that you want to explore. So a classic would be good versus evil, but there are many that you can think of. Pick one of those. There may be one that comes more naturally to you. The second step is to use that element as a gateway to the others. For example, if you have a particular setting, you may ask yourself, what kind of characters tend to go there? What sort of action takes place in that world? Those are the useful connecting questions. If you start with a character, you can ask, what kind of trouble would this person get into? What is on this person's mind? What places do they tend to go to? Who else do they tend to meet? These two simple steps will take all the ideas that are fermenting in your mind and synthesize them into the outline of a story. I'd now like to suggest an action plan that can help you realize this in your own creative endeavors. The first step will be to pick one of those story elements, it doesn't matter which, and develop 5 out of push 10 options. Just through pure brainstorming, write down all the ideas that come into your mind and do not judge them at this stage. Once you've completed that, I recommend waiting for 1 or 2 days and then reviewing your list. You want to pick the one that jumps out automatically as the most exciting, that sparks the most follow-on ideas. Once you have that, start to ask yourself these connecting questions that serve as the gateway to the other elements of the story. You can go through very systematically, ticking off each element. And by the end, you will have that story outline that you can begin to draft. If you enjoyed this video, you can like or comment below. I'd be particularly interested in the sections that you found most helpful or what story structures you've been able to create using this method. I'm going to be releasing a new video every week, so if you want to be kept up to date on those, you can also subscribe below. See you next time.